Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you? Welcome to all of you to this day, which is the 100th day. So, of our I Am path. So, we have been 300 days in a row sharing this path of the self. So, 300 days. We only have 65 days ahead to finish this part of the trip. So it's nothing compared to the 300 that we have done until now. So really, I appreciate all of you who have been since the very beginning, that has been here with me 300 days all the time. So thank you very much to all of you. So thank you all of you for these 300 days that we have been together, that you had to stand for these bilingual classes every day, English and Spanish, and waited for your language, and of course have to support every one of my emotions during this path, being sick, feeling happy, feeling sad, feeling tired, crying, and all these kind of emotions and situations in which I have felt during this path. So thank you, all of you, for having been every day supporting me here. So let's see how we take the next 2 months that we have ahead still, which are Gemini and Cancer. So we close today with the Taurus. We finish our month of Taurus. So I hope that all of you have been comfortable with the month of Taurus. How have you lived Taurus? I hope that it has been a wonderful month for all of you. For those who are following the task, what we are going to do this day is to water the seeds for the last time, because it doesn't matter which size they are. Today we have to eat them. We have to assimilate these plants after today. It doesn't matter if they are tiny, you just have to eat it to assimilate it within. So I remind you, we have to eat them because the work for this month was to assimilate all the information that we have put into the water. So we put the water on the plant. The plant was growing, having the potential that we are manifesting all together as one, and then we eat it. Okay, so if we are not able to eat them, so we have to work in ourselves the attachment that we have. Okay, each one according to its own time of your path. Okay, so you do it whenever you feel ready, but tomorrow you can sow many more. Okay, so let's begin with our topic for today, which is the nervous system. Nervous system. The nervous system is something amazing. It's incredible. It's like the most beautiful thing you can possibly understand. It has so much data, so many things to understand about the what it represents, that that it would take a long time. So today we are going to just have an idea of how it is and how it works. But basically, when you start to think about how it works, it's like kind of seeing how the divinity is manifesting in front of you is something incredible, amazing. So there is nothing in which you can possibly think of, since just taking a breath or designing a building that is not controlled by the nervous system. The nervous system touches everything, connects everything. Everything that you could possibly imagine or do is part of the nervous system. So when we start to understand it, it's amazing. So today I took a while before we started to make the drawings of the system, so I could have precisely the data that I wanted to share, so I don't miss anything, and you can view the whole concept. And then we will go into the concept of this system. Once we understood the physical aspect of it, we will go into the concept of this system that gives us, for us, okay, to understand the concept of what it makes us be what we are. So I hope you are all ready to go deep into the nervous system. So the nervous system starts way in the past, when we are just a gamete, tiny cells in the endometrium inside the womb of our mother, in the first weeks of being gestated. Because what happens is that when the cells starts to divide and create the first structure of our living being, the cells starts to send data and information to each one of the cells, so we can receive all this information and storage this information to send signals to the other cells, the new cells, for them to order in organs, creating the organism. So during this process, starts to be created all the neurons inside of us in the first weeks. So through all this process, these cells specialize in storing information, data, and sharing data and information. These cells starts to evolve in something that we call neurons. So the neurons will be the specialized cells that will be in charge to administrate and to communicate the data inside within our bodies. So from the 7th week of gestation, every minute is produced in our bodies 250,000 neurons within. So 250,000 neurons per minute for at least 5 to 6 months after, during this gestation. Imagine the quantity of neurons that we have in the moment we are born. From the moment we are born, we have millions of neurons in our body. So one of the incredible things about the neurons is that they don't die. And by that I mean that they don't reproduce like the other cells. They don't divide by mitosis or meiosis. They are constantly the same. Until just a few years ago, people used to believe that the same amount of neurons that we have at the moment we were born are the same amount of neurons with which we die, because they don't reproduce. They are always the same. They live with us along the entire life. So within ourselves, within our bodies, we have still today, now until our 90 years old, we will have the same neurons from the very moment of our gestation. So the first cells that were created are still living within us. So it's amazing. So what they discovered in the last years is that we produce neurons even until the moment we die. But they are very different from the rest of the cells because they don't die, because they live on, they don't reproduce, they don't divide the knowledge, they storage the knowledge. And that's what we call memory. Memory is the storaging of data of a cell. So the neurons store the data along the entire history of the body. And this is why we have memory. So these tiny cells, some of them are very, very tiny, and the others are very, very long, connecting different long parts of the body. So they connect one another, creating a network that goes through every one of the cells along the body. And that's what gives birth to what we call the nervous system. So the nervous system is a network of neurons, of cells that are called neurons, that share data information along the entire body. This system of network of neurons, they start to specialize in different aspects and attributes and systems. So that's why they specialize in different parts that are the different branches of the nerve system. And that's what we are going to see from the tiniest part to the bigger part. So take a deep breath and let's go into this. So today I have a series of drawings here. I hope you can see it. So this here is a neuron, okay? And this part here can be very, 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 very long or very short. So as you can see here, a neuron is like a tree. Okay, it has roots, it has a trunk, and has branches with its fruits in the center. So you can remember it, the shape. Yeah. So we can compare this with the bigger picture. Every tree in the planet, every plant in the planet is like a neuron that connects through the roots and the branches with other trees and plants around, sharing data information. In a bigger mind, which is the living being that we call planet Earth. So here we have in the center a cell, the core of a cell. Inside the nucleus of the cell, the cytoplasm, mitochondria, and all the different parts of a cell that we have already spoken. so all the data of the cell, and then it's surrounded by something called the axon, which is like a channel that brings the data from the cell to the other cells around through the different paths. Okay? So from the axon, it goes to other neurons through a trunk of myelin, which is kind of like, you can imagine like this, that this is like a train with different wagons. So they push and move the vibration to the other cells. So how it takes the information to other cells? So this train can send per second even 50 data, 50 pulses of information per second. Very fast. So these 50 datas, these 50 pulses per second are moving here at 360 kilometers per hour, each one of those 50. So it's the same amount of speed that you need for a airplane to take off. So it's so much speed that we can't process that. It's huge. So you can imagine this, a train that goes at 360 kilometers per hour of speed from one station to another station, and in 1 second can make 50 trips. Very fast, isn't it? Okay. Every time that the train arrives to one station, it passes the charges that it has on each wagon to the next train to go to the other station. So it's like transpassing data from one train to another to keep going. Okay? So now you see this spot here? That there is the connection to the next station. So if we amplify the image here, we will see that this connection here is like this. This is the charge that comes from the pulse, and it goes to the other train to keep going. So this process here, the transfer from this charge to this other charge, is what we call synapses. Synapses. Okay? Bien. So remember, these are not bones, okay? This is not a bone. This is the tip of the branches that we call, in the neurons, we call dendrite, or whatever. So these branches here, the dendrite, they connect one another in the tips by a process called synapses. So synapses means the action of touching the other one. Okay, so this is this action to touching the other. So now, how from the axon this information is moved from one spot to another? The way in which they will move is because this train works by magnetical rails. We have two rails, one negative, the other one positive. So we have the two rails on a way and the train. So if we have all positive, negative, like this, like explain, aligned, so the train will be still, nothing is moving. But if a magnet switches the magnetism, it changes the polarity, suddenly they will start to repel one another. Because we all know how if you put the same faces of the two magnets, like positive and positive, the magnets will like repel one another, like they won't touch. So you will see one of them like sliding away from the magnet. So if you see that image, imagine that the two rails, you change the polarity and suddenly the train will try to move forward because escaping the same polarity that it has. So if it is positive and negative, it will be still. But if you change it to positive, positive, the train will, boom, tries to escape. So the magnets will change the polarity constantly, like this, okay? So the train can move forward, okay? So that's why the information can move through. So now think about the magnets. The magnet, in order for this to change, we need something that makes it change. So the magnet will switch, the change of polarity will be the combination of, how to say this, sodium and potassium. Potassium is okay. Sodium and potassium. So these two will change the they will change the amount of electrons that they have. So they will like steal electrons from one another, and one of them will have a lack of electrons. So maybe having more positive or more negative. So when they steal to one another these electrons from the molecules, the polarity of the train will change, of the rails will change. So the interaction of these two is the one that helps the perfect movement of data, of information here. So that's why it's good to have a rich diet in potassium and sodium, okay? So it helps you to bring information to all your body faster and in a better way. So the magnets that will make that the train can move, bringing information, will be through the axon, will be the magnets of potassium and sodium. Okay? So look at this. What it generates here, a wave of information, a wave of vibration and energy that we have spoken so many times. So this wave will determine the information according to the frequency. The frequency, if it is as high speed, low speed, frequency, low frequency, high frequency, it will determine the kind of information. Like if we have, remember, the white light, according to the frequency of the wavelength, you will have colors. So you will understand different colors through the different frequencies. So depending on the speed of this, you will have one data or another. Okay? Perfect. So these different wavelengths of vibration, they will determine the shape of certain molecules. These things here, the red dots here, are different molecules that will be determined, the shape of them will be determined because of this wavelength. And that's a chemical reaction. They create a chemical reaction creating what we call neurotransmitters, that are these molecules that transmit data from one neuron to another. So one of them will have this kind of bags where the molecules that were formed will be storage, and the other one will have like this kind of arms that are receptors that will receive these molecules in a process called synapses. Yeah. So we can say, for example, that these neurotransmitters are like kind of books where in shape of chemicals are storing the information so the other one can read them. It's like sending an email, a book to be written, to be read, sorry. Okay. So these neurotransmitters will be called, like, for example, with names like endorphin, in charge of transmitting information of happiness, or dopamine, in charge of bringing information of quiet, trying to be still. Okay. So this means that everything that we can feel, that we can do, that we can imagine, anything from love till just running, will be connected and able to exist because of this chemical electrical reaction. So all these systems of neurons will be divided in two groups. Physically, the central, shaping the brain, the cerebellum, the trunk, the spine, the marrow inside, spinal cord. And of course, we have the peripheric, which will be all these kind of nerves that will go to every one of the organs, every one of the cells. So all this peripheric system, with all these nerves and all these neurons till the very end, they will receive data through pulses through the five senses. We have spoken about the five senses. So the five senses will be the pulses received by the peripheric system that are brought to the marrow, to the brain, to interpret that information through the network of neurons, creating these transmissions constantly to interpret the data through the frequency of the movement. And in that way, it creates an answer to answer back. So for example, if you are feeling the heat of fire, it goes to the brain, the heat of fire, and the body will answer back very fast. So you take the hand away from the fire. Okay. So basically the neurons will store information. So every time that we receive a signal from the outside, they will start to share data. So they say, I have an answer that is similar to this concept, that is situation. So they share the data. And this is why we can have the same response, same answer to many different situations. So this same system, the central and peripheric, will divide into two ways of interpreting the nervous system, through the somatic and the autonomous system. So the somatic will be the one that our brain can generate, can think about and say, I want to move, I want to do this or that. So it's the one that the brain decides, for example, this, moving my hand like this, what I am saying, the words that I am choosing. So the somatic is the part that my brain decides in how to move the body. So the somatic depends on my own will. This is why it's the voluntary system. So then we have the autonomous system. The autonomous system is the one that we don't have to think about, that we don't have any will. It's impossible to control this system because the autonomic system of the autonomic nerve system is the one that controls the heartbeat, the reproduction of cells, the digestive system, all the things that work within the immunological system. We don't have any will on them. It's the involuntary system. We don't have a will upon it. And the autonomic system divides in two actions. One is called the parasympathetic, and the other one is called the sympathetic, or parasympathetic or sympathetic. I don't know how you say it exactly in English. So the parasympathetic and the sympathetic will be in charge of the contraction or the relaxation of the system. So the parasympathetic is the one in charge of relaxing the system. The parasympathetic will be the one relaxing the system, and the sympathetic will be the one contracting the system. So it's involuntary. We don't handle them. It's like going to pee or holding the pee. Is kind of this way in which we can difference these two. Okay. So I think that I explained most of it. This is as much as I can explain. So if you want to know more, look for it. So this is basically the nervous system. And as you see it, you will understand here that its perfection defines what we are, the being that we are. So we have seen here that we usually call this the spirit. We want to find the spirit in all this. We used to say that the spirit is vibration, is the wave of sound, of vibration that exists in the universe. So as you have seen here, the mind of the universe, the mind of the cosmos is these waves that we have seen here that are moving through all the system. So when you see these connections of the spirit, the mind, by polarities, you can start to understand that this is creating energy. Which energy? The energy that we call ATP, the adenine, remember, is the molecules that are created in the cell to storage energy, to share and exchange with other cells. We have spoken about this. So this is what creates molecules that will turn into neurotransmitters. Which will be the key of movement, and movement is soul. Movement is soul. So we can understand this because these neurotransmitters are the ones allowing us to feel emotions related to the soul. The soul is movement. Through this system, the nervous system, we can understand that all the things are only one thing, only one being. The body can only perceive reality because of the energy of the soul and the vibration of the spirit. They are not different things. They are the same. When we understand this, we will see that the body, the soul, the spirit are the same, and the body cannot live, cannot exist or express unless the energy of the soul is moved. And the energy of the soul cannot exist unless the vibration of the spirit moves through, transmitting information. So the whole thing is what creates the being. But this is all possible because they connect to one another, because they do synapses. They make a network. Without a network, the being doesn't exist. The universal mind, the divine God and creator that we call the One, cannot recognize itself as the One until it can express itself as two by polarity. Polarity is basically just the constant movement of sharing the idea of who I am. There is no being in the universe unless there is an exchange of data of who that being is. There is no understanding of the one without the two. The only reason why a being exists is because there is a subject, an agent, and an action. It's because it exists an I and an am. Usually when we think about ourselves, our bodies, we think that this is like disconnected from the everything. Like we are here and this is the body, and it has to be something beyond, something bigger there. That should be something bigger, a creator. But something that is impossible to touch, to feel, to grasp, at least to understand it. And that thing that is unmeasurable, that you cannot hold, in Greek is said atomos. Atomos. So an atom is the concept in the Greek culture to describe something that is impossible to measure, impossible to count. When we heard this sentence, know yourself and you will know the universe. Go within, meditate, and find yourself and find the divinity within you. It's not metaphoric. It's actually real. It is how it is. There is no a creator that created us in perfection. The creator is created by the same creation. It is creating itself. This is why we are all parts of the creator mind. Our idea of having a creator in the outside is our incapacity to see that we are already connected, that we are not separated from anything. And I'm not saying with this that there's no God, that there's no a creator mind. I'm saying with this that we are part of that God that is creating. Sometimes we don't have to imagine that there is something much more after the matter. We have to think about matter being so perfect enough to even be able to imagine. This is why know yourself and you will know the universe. The vibration for today is the statement for today is I am an eternal channel. Quote for today, the integumentary system, the skin. Its name comes from tegumentum, that means coverage in Latin. This means the structure or organ that covers everything else, externally and internally in certain parts. It's the most extensive organ, for it covers every part of the body and is in charge of the communication between the external and internal medium, informing the brain about the surroundings. It's in to react accordingly. At the same time, protects it from possible threats and allows it to secrete inside the excess of liquids, fat, or toxins. Let's go to the alignment. Today is our last day with the music of Taurus. So tomorrow we begin with a new song related to the month of Gemini. Sit comfortable, close your eyes, and concentrate on your breathing. I take a deep breath as I become aware of the body that I inhabit. I bring my attention with my imagination to my feet, and from them I become aware of every part of my body going up, from my feet to my legs, the hip, waist, hands and arms, belly, back and chest, shoulders, neck, and head. Taking the opposite path, I go from the head to the feet, through every muscle and bone, starting from the skull and the jaw, going down through the spine, the ribs, sternum, and every bone on the sides of the body, from the arms to the legs and the feet, paying attention to every muscle on them. Take a deep breath. Taking the path again above, I start to pay attention to the veins and arteria in my feet, going up, feeling the lymphatic system. And as I go up, I perceive the reproductive system, excretory system, digestive, circulatory, respiratory, till I reach the endocrine towards the brain. And I take a deep breath. I take a deep breath, and from the brain, I become aware of the nervous system, the brain and all the cells called neurons, expanding data to the body through the mouth, through the spine, to every nerve and every neuron along the entire body, sending data, sharing information along an extended network like lightnings spreading around the body. I can perceive as I breathe the light of the energy moving through the nerve system, reaching the skin, expanding as light through the tegumentary system, shining. I start to recognize the light of my nervous system by softly and slowly moving and stretching the entire body, perceiving the information in every movement, like dancing. I pay attention, becoming aware of how every movement that I do is an electrical pulse sent by the waves of the spirit, pushing the energy of my soul that manifests in my body. And I recognize that I am doing a constant synapses, sharing information. I am an eternal channel, I take a deep breath and relax my body. And with my sound, I start to pronounce the sound, the vibration that awakens the spirit within the channel that will expand the torus around the physical body. I am the eternal channel. I am the eternal channel. I am the eternal channel. I have the universe in me. I have the divinity in me. I have, I have, I have.
Intiake Duntiake Ontiake Dargash Nid Ave Hiderast Ni Akidarash To Akeda Lu Ave Gün Adin Tumbayetesh Devang Tumbekiahe Duakin Disecharte Lung Aken Af Dor Aren Yeke Tumbastika Lantikunumbai Sitarosh Aku Gun Diave Tu Fadosh Gyathin Dijaur Dea Athes Nor Na Patnikta Takinda Tuf Akindesau Tuf Inster Ovadas Rind es Forfatnas Gufnumbar Nivondakendar Diger Vagandistauni Döven disturten vunnedo Bender fandistur Döv Adernistornos Githentarvus Seder Denkidarus Tustarendi Gidar Putentaste Confanteta Digetharo Kufneta Kumbevak Götha Funder Avendar Ovan Von der Rinden Takendo Vimbaker von Destarne Kindum Varvot Nestag Tinde Kanin der Ande Denden Durvendesh Du Fardisten dar hat stapita or argen Dev anden dorvan niste Kuvambendistendo bak Na ever gaur bendages De avagor isag Ndakenda fok Nisahivero. Kuvandi se akernakua. Naedaro hosneto. Yadurvahendi sadesa. Kuva. Pta. You take a deep breath and come back here and now. We take the blessing of the creator energy, Pata. And as I'm able to translate it, I will share it with you all. So we take this energy, we put it into the water, we pour it on the seeds and plants that we have sowed. And whenever I feel ready, I nourish myself with all the nutrients and information inside of the plants by eating them. Thank you everybody for having accompanied me another month in the path of the I Am. And as always, I see you tomorrow at the same time to begin with our month of Gemini.